Hey everyone, Richard Metalfan here. Today we talk Metallica, or as this album is commonly known as, the Black Album. I'm sorry if it's scratched there, but anyway. After four great thrash metal albums, Metallica decided, let's try to do something a little bit different this time around. And they also went with a new producer, Bob Rock, who worked with bands like Motley Crue and shit like that. And the result was in 1991, 25 years ago, they released, in my opinion, and what a lot of people consider another great album in Metallica's career, the Black Album. And this is basically the Metallica breaking through the mainstream, and this is basically what broke them big. I mean, this album was basically a game changer in metal. I mean, metal started playing a lot more on the radio and stuff especially, and Metallica started playing more a lot in the mainstream when this album first came out. It also hit number one on the Billboard charts when it first came out. It's sort of like metal started becoming more accepted nowadays. Now, and especially a little bit to this day, even this album first came out. And stylistically, with this album, the musical style, it changes a little bit. It still has like the heavy metal thrash stuff, but it's not like as like huge on it. It still has it there, but also has just like straight up heavy metal in there. And the production is a lot better than it was on Injustice for All. One of the notices like the tones on the guitars sound pretty great. It's just crunchy and thick, and the bass it's more audible as opposed to Injustice for All. We can barely hear it at all. Also, I guess they've kind of redeemed themselves on that quality with the production. And the vocals, I mean, James Hetfield's vocals sound superb, but this is also where he basically started doing his trademarks. Yeah, which is basically what he does still to this day. I feel like this is basically the start of him doing that. But yeah, let's dive into this album track by track. Now the album opens up with Enter Sandman, one of the band's most popular songs. It's been played live since they basically started recording it. And when I first heard it, I thought it was an alright song, but over time, and I know a lot of Metallica fans are going to get butthurt and lose their shit when I say this, I feel like this is kind of the most annoying and overrated song, period. Like, it's been played everywhere, anywhere, where it just, after hearing it so many times, I'm like, okay, I get it. Ugh. Again, I'm just sorry if any Metallica fans are watching this, they're going to get pissed when I say that. Every time I hear this, want to listen to this album, I just had to skip that song. I'm sorry. But yeah, then we go into Sad But True, which just has it's a solid song throughout. It has some very heavy chugging guitars and a pretty good solo in there. Holier Than Thou. It's a little bit thrashier, one of the few thrashy moments on this album. It's a very interesting song, and I really like the guitar tones overall. Then we get to The Unforgiven, which has a little bit of a stronger Western vibe to it. It's one of the couple ballads on this album, but it's not as like depressing as it was on like Fade to Black or so. It's an overall solid song. Wherever I May Roam, which is has a little bit of a darker tone to it. And also starts off with a little bit of a sitar intro, which, I mean, forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, I feel like what I forgot to also mention is like Metallica wanted to also try to experiment more with this album, where they also incorporated different instruments, like Wherever I May Roam is one of the examples with the sitar intro, which I believe Kirk Hammett plays that intro. It's a pretty good song. Don't Tread on Me. It starts off with a stompy intro, and it has a little bit of a groove to it. It's kind of a slowerish song, and I don't know if you could see from the album cover, it's kind of dark. It has like the little snake, which kind of inspires the song Don't Tread on Me. I'm not really too entirely sure. I'm just guessing. But anyway, moving on to Through the Never, which has a pretty good riff in there. It's a pretty good song. Nothing Else Matters, which starts off with a very good acoustic intro, and it's just a very soft layered song. It's a pretty good song, I have to say. I actually dig this song quite a bit. A Wolf and Man, just a very crunchy guitar tone in there. And just a really great solo overall. The God That Failed, which starts off kind of a very doomy intro with a little bass and drums from Jason Newsted and Lars Ulrich. And it has a really fast solo in there, and just some superb vocals from James Hetfield. Um, My Friend of Misery. I actually like this song a lot. It almost was almost going to be an instrumental of this album. I mean, this is the second writing credit that Jason Newsted received. He co-wrote the song with James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich, and it has a really great bass intro, and it's just kind of a dark and melancholy type vibe to it with his bass tone on this song. And I honestly feel like this should be in like the bass intro or bass kind of like instrumental for this album. I mean, I just like that bass intro, just gives me chills every time I listen to that song. And then the album closes with The Struggle Within, which just starts off with a very bold intro, and just the verses in there are pretty groovy. Now, overall, the Black Album is a pretty good album. I mean, basically what broke Metallica big and got them more well known, and especially in the mainstream and worldwide. And I think it's a pretty good album myself. It's still good, and it's still heavy to this day. If I were to give this album a score, I'd probably give this like a solid 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of the Black Album, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next review or video, and keep it metal.